Hi, welcome back to Stock Talk. This is Joe Rabil with Rabil Stock Research. So as the market continues to bounce around, and for me, we don't have confluence amongst the time frames because the 18-month moving average, the monthly line is going one way and the weekly line is going the other. So in these type of situations, I want to continue to focus in on different trading strategies, and I want to take a hard look at price structure and then support that with MACD and ADX using moving averages as well in multiple time frames. So let's go ahead and look at this agenda. What I want to do is give you a specific example of how I would take a trade. Now, this would end up being a counter trend to the longer term, but we would be looking at a reversal on a weekly chart and then working our way down towards an hourly chart for the timing. So what we want to do is always start with the bigger time frames and then work our way down. And what we also want to do is make sure we have price structure in our favor first, and then use the moving averages, the MACD and the ADX as a supporting tools to help us with our decisions. Once we go through that, we're going to get through the stock requests that came through. So let's go ahead and get into this lesson now. So I've got my grid up, my monthly, weekly, daily, and hourly of NVDA. And I wanted to show this situation where we get a big down move on the monthly. We actually get pretty close to this 100 level, this big round number. And we've made a pretty significant move uninterrupted. You see the zigzag? I've thrown the zigzag up on all these charts because I want you to see when you get these big uninterrupted moves up, and then look at this big uninterrupted move to the downside. And notice how the MACD started working its way back down towards zero. So in this instance, as I start to do that, I come back down towards this prior reversal point. I might be looking for a reversal. Now, if I zero in on the bars themselves, you can see we did get a little bit of a bottoming tail. And so that's somewhat intriguing to me for a potential move and maybe a retracement back up towards the 18-month line. I know this isn't a trend trade because the monthly line is rolled over. The question is, can I get in this and get the risk reward to make sense to get a trade back up to the 18-month? So if I go to the weekly chart, look at what happens. We're making lower highs and lower lows. We have a downtrend line break that takes place, and that follows a MACD divergence. All right, we don't have that in ADX, but it is not bothering me that much because I know I'm not looking. If I'm looking for a trend trade like this, where if I want to break out and try and play it for a trend, then I want the ADX in my favor. But if I'm playing a reversal, I know the ADX is going to lag a little bit, so I'm not really worried about that too much. And in fact, I had this little setup where it pinches in as this is pulling back towards the 18. You see how the 18 was declining and then flattens out here? And we go from a zig to a zag. We turn down, and once we get into this zone and we know that the MACD is above its signal line, and I do have some room before I get to the zero line, I'm willing to kind of look at a play back up towards the 18-month line, which is, again, it's up around 200. All right, so now the other thing I want to do is on this retracement down, let me just point this out. So we've broken the downtrend line and now we're testing. So we're in the process of reversing the trend, but we don't have any confirmation yet. So we have to evaluate this one leg down on the weekly chart, this leg to the downside. We have to evaluate that on the daily. So if you notice what happened, we had a move to the downside that was uninterrupted, just straight down, a simple pullback. And I would almost refer to this as like a flush to the downside as opposed to any kind of a reversal. If we had a reversal, we'd have some kind of a trend where we're making lower highs and lower lows, or we'll come down and sweep down under this prior low and then make a lower high and turn down. That would be a trend reversal. And in that case, I really can't take this trade that I'm going to show you. But in this case, because we just dropped down, we found support at the 618, I can go, and the other thing that I want to point out is that even though red did come down and get back above 25 and above green. It didn't take out this prior peak. And notice how low the ADX remained during this decline. So all of those are working for me in favor of trying to take a short-term trade back up towards 200. Now, the final piece of the puzzle here is going to the hourly chart, where we know we've got the 18-week is down here. We've got the fib level at 618 down here. We push off the low and we break the downtrend line. Now that's the one in a change in trend, right? So we've broken the downtrend line. That's all we've done. Now we come back and test, and either this low or this low can be considered the 2 in a 1, 2, 3, because we've come back and tested this low in a good enough manner. The 3 is coming back up above this prior peak up here. All right, and it did it via a gap. I would still be okay with playing this because I know what's happening. I'm rallying off the 618 level and I'm rallying off the 18-week level. And I know I've already broken the downtrend line on the bigger picture. So I've got a number of things working in my favor. Look at how MACD is starting to cross back above. Look at during this corrective wave, we don't even get red DI above 25. So these are all things working in my favor. I can take this trade and use either the last swing stop or the moving averages as my initial stop point, and then play for a move up to this prior swing high. It's a prior swing high on the weekly. It's a prior swing high on the daily. And you can see that it was a reversal point on the hourly. So all these are working in favor of that trade. Hopefully this helps, gives you an idea of how to use the price structure to give you some trading ideas. Let's go ahead and get into the analysis now. Just briefly, my services can be found at rabilstockresearch.com. On the individual package, there's about 2 to 3 reports each week, plus a special video for that package. And also, if you sign up for that, you will have access to the trading and momentum course. Let's go ahead and get going into the stocks. Before we get into the stocks, I want to show you something. I refer to myself as a bottom-up technical analyst, and let me explain why. So this is from my weekly Monday report that I send over after going through all the stocks on the weekend. And I look at about 400 stocks, large cap stocks. And what this is showing is the short-term positives, which essentially is saying if we have some momentum or the short-term trend is improving, then a stock will be clocked as short-term positive, whether it's in an uptrend or a downtrend. If it looks like it has some potential to rally or move to the upside, it'd be added to this category, right? And then at the bottom, these are stocks that actually are in uptrends only, all right? And so what this does, I think, gives us a really good feel from a bottom-up perspective, because we're going through all the stocks and we're creating a composite chart based on what stocks are doing what. And if you notice what happened here back in 2020 when the market bottomed and basically V'd off the low, we got a lot of improvement in the trends, and the trends got up to just under 50%. After price had clearly gotten back above both moving averages. If you look at where we are right now, we've got the same position for the stocks. You see how the number of stocks that are in uptrends is up around 45%, which equals here. But the difference is the market hasn't gotten through its moving averages to any real degree yet. I mean, this week we're getting through the 40-week now, but you can see the clear difference in terms of the strength of the overall market. And the reason is that we've got these large cap heavyweight stocks that have been really underperforming, and I think they look a lot more like this chart, right? So if you look at the underlying condition, it's actually been improving pretty dramatically. A lot of stocks are showing improvement, their trends. Now, the reason why I'm not just screaming buy is the fact that we've rallied back up to this 50% mark. We're just under 50% right now in the number of trends. And while it doesn't show up on this chart right now because there's not enough history, if you look at the short-term signals, this 50 mark becomes really important. If we're looking for potential for continuation or reversal, we want to keep an eye on the 50 mark. And right now we're at that point. So I think we're at an incredibly critical point in the market. We're rallying up towards the 18-month line right now. And the number of stocks that are in uptrends is rallying up towards the 50% mark. Can it leap over and switch over while the market gets through the 18-month? If so, then I think we're in a much stronger technical position from a bottom-up perspective than we are right now. Now, I mean, I think there's underlying improvement, no doubt, but we've reached the next kind of key level. So I just wanted to point this out, and then we can go back. I do this for all the sectors as well. And just to give you an idea, if you look at consumer discretionary, look at this declining environment, and yet the number of trends has been improving really since late last year. And the reason why this looks so bad is like 30% of this index is Amazon and Tesla. Now we're actually getting a little help from those two stocks, but the underlying list of stocks in the consumer discretionary area has been showing improvement. So I just think these are good things to keep an eye on and recognize that while the market really hasn't been trading all that well, the number of stocks underneath I think has been improving. All right, let's just take a quick look at the S&P chart now. And again, we're rallying up towards this 18-month line. Okay. We've gotten through the 200. We've broken the downtrend line, at least to a small degree on both of those situations. But we held the 18-week and we held the 18-day. So from a short-term standpoint, the trend is up until we break the, at least from a short-term standpoint, if we break the 18-day, that would be a short-term negative. If we break the 18-week, that would be an intermediate-term negative. And all of that would be taking place below a declining 18 months. So I would view that as a big a negative. Now, the other thing I'm watching is this MACD. And let's just zero in on this for a second. You see how this is working its way up to the zero line? Now, off the low, we had all those stocks oversold, right, on the report that I do on Mondays, and we had divergence in this indicator. And so I really thought that was the last really good trade that we had. Now we're kind of bouncing around in this area and really haven't been able to make a decision yet. And so we're working our way back up towards zero. And I think if we can punch through the zero line, that would be a really good confirming sign that things are improving. And that should coincide with the number of stocks and uptrends breaking above the 50 mark. So just something to keep an eye on. We're still kind of at that point where, yes, we're making higher highs and higher lows, but we haven't been confirmed by the ADX yet on the daily chart. And if we can't get this ADX to climb above 25, then this is more of a rally and not the start of something new and significant. So I'm kind of waiting to see if we can get some new momentum to come in. Okay, let's start going through the stocks. And just so you know, I know I spent a decent amount of time on the S&P, but I should have time to go through all the requests that came through. Let's look at Caterpillar as a starting point. So this gives us a better idea when you go and look at a stock like this compared to what the S&P looks like. I mean, this is a big stock. This is a big cap stock that is really showing a lot of strength. Look at the ADX on this weekly chart, made a strong move and then paused and then made a move to the upside. Now, the way I look at this right now is our last chance to buy this was this pause here. When an ADX is rising, we don't have to get a pullback all the way to the 18 on that time frame. We could just get a pause, and we got this pause going here, and we got pretty close to the zero line with low ADX. So you could have played this as a like a trend line break here. That would have been kind of the entry day, at least based on the way I look at it. Now, I think we're looking for our next entry. We had a little pullback on the daily chart, but I think this needs to pull back now. The DI on the weekly chart is not confirming this latest run. So I'd be more inclined to be sitting back, looking for another entry point on a pullback a little closer to the 18-week. ENLC. So look at the momentum condition on the monthly here. You see how this showed a lot of strength off the low. And remember, we had a declining 18-month and then it started rising, and we just pulled back and held that with improving momentum conditions on both the MACD and the ADX. So I like the longer term position of this. What I don't like recently is that this move to the upside wasn't confirmed by ADX. It really couldn't get above 25. MACD did confirm that by making a new high with price, right? So we're getting a trading move. But if I'm looking to play this for a bigger picture, I think I'd be... I don't know. I don't know that I really want to play this right now for a bigger picture play. We did have a little pullback and entry potentially off of a pinch here off the daily chart. But beyond that, I don't know that I really want to play this unless I get a little bit better pullback towards the 18-week line. Again, if I'm in this, though, I'm good with sticking with it. It's still showing really good characteristics on the long-term chart. Okay, so let's just look at what happened here on ENPH. So this was a stock in the solar area that was so much stronger than the average solar stock, and it pulled back and it made a strong move. Well, this was the really strong move, and then it had kind of a harsh pullback, but it pulled into the zone and then went to another new high. And then look at what happened. It went to a marginal new peak. MACD did not confirm, ADX did not confirm, and now we're making a move back down. Now, originally, I was sort of thinking the target for divergence is this prior low, but the weakness was pretty strong. Look at the strength of this decline. Look at that strength. That tells us that we should be looking for continuation to the downside. And now we've gotten the MACD back to the zero line. Now we're back to a bigger support area around 200. I don't think I'd be in a huge hurry, but I do think this is the area where it should start to find support and maybe start to cup around. We're back to the 18-month. But look at these two monster bars. You see the size of these bars? It tells me I do not need to be in a hurry to be on the buy side in this. It's probably going to find support, but I don't think there's a huge amount of upside right away. RE, so pretty nice overall trend here. You know, we had a nice breakout at the 300 mark, and we've had some follow through. What's really missing for me from the bigger picture is the momentum. I mean, this is okay. We got up a little bit above 25, but nothing really all that dynamic. And ADX here is rising, but the green DI isn't even above 25. So big breakout. Don't get me wrong. The trend is to the upside, but I don't think I would chase this. Just based on the momentum signs, I think I get an opportunity to buy this on some kind of a pullback or a pause or something like that. If I'm looking at it from a shorter term standpoint, we just kind of had a pullback to support here. It was a little deep, so I'm expecting this old high to be resistance. If I'm trading it, I'm probably only trading it for that back to that move there. General Dynamics. So here's a stock that tried to break out here and then had no follow through. This is a really key thing, and I look for where technical analysis is helping us when it's wrong. Okay, and that's I kind of call this the dog that didn't bark signal sometimes, where you break out and then you get no follow through. I mean, this should have gone, once it broke out, it should have followed through. And the fact that it had one day at a new high, closing at a new high, and then the immediately reversed the next day should have raised some concerns in your mind. The other thing that happened is we made this move to the upside. Green DI barely made a move up and then had a divergence signal and reversed back down under 25. It couldn't hold 25. And I can just tell you, if the DI line can't hold 25, you're going to stay in a consolidation pattern. ADX certainly didn't get above it either, but now we're getting a little bit of violent selling. I do think there's pretty decent support underneath, and it probably is going to stay in a trading range, but I wouldn't be in any hurry to do anything with this. We're sitting on the 18-month, but it's just too hard in the way this is coming in. So this is actually just a perfect example of a stock that would be right out of my book and right out of my course, actually. This move here, strong move to the upside. Look at the dynamics of the DI, green DI. The buyers are really strong, and we got the ADX going to the upside. MACD confirmed, and then we get a pullback toward the breakout area on this time frame. And it's a nice orderly pullback for the most part, and you can really see it in the daily chart as this works its way back down and these two lines come together. We have MACD right at 0, and we have low ADX on this time frame. So one of the triggers that I use is a downtrend line break based on these conditions. There's 4 different types of triggers. This is the number 1 trigger, and you'd buy the moment this crosses back above. So that was the last entry in this. Now we've made a move to the upside. We kind of had a harsh day a week ago. DI really isn't confirming this move. I'm more inclined to want to wait for another pullback in this to play it. Now, again, if I bought this on this pullback and I'm playing this for a move, for a bigger move, I think there's potential to get back up towards 10. Look at this ADX line. Now, I know the DI isn't confirming, but look at how strong the ADX line is. That is confirming that even if we pull back, we should go again or at least test the high. Right now, because it's coming out of a nice base here, the next resistance zone is up here. You can see where we had problems in the past, and that sometimes that can act as a magnet for the move. When there's no intermittent resistance, that's kind of what we should be expecting. So LH, so I want to just speak for a second on this. So this broke the downtrend line in a really marginal way and then had a really marginal test. You see how that could be called a 1, 2, 3? It's not quality. And you know why I know it's not quality? Because we're still below a declining 18-month line. All right, now let me tell you the positives about what's going on here. And I want you to go back through some of these stocks and look at what this has done. Look at what this is doing and a lot of these stocks are doing. Now this came back to this huge support area at 200, pretty close to it. And then look at how when it was here, MACD was way overbought, and then it came down and we got down to this low area where MACD was back towards the 0 line. So we should be looking for some kind of a rally. Now, we've gotten the benefit of that, but I think I need a little bit more confirmation, something like that, another lower high and another higher low and another higher high to confirm, because we haven't gotten through the 18-month line. Now, I do like what's going on a relative basis. We're breaking this downtrend line. There's a lot of good going on here, but I just don't see enough confirmation yet. Now, contrast that reversal with this one. Look at this one. This had a break of the downtrend line, right? And then we had a nice test of that low, and then we came back up and took out that high. To me, this is a much more confirming 1, 2, 3 reversal. Look at how MACD has crossed above the 0 line, and look at how we've gotten back above the 18-month. Those types, that tells me, so normally when you get a 1, 2, 3 on this time frame, you're going to be back above the 18-month. It's a really good confirmation. If you're not getting back above the 18-month, you should sort of question whether we have a true 1, 2, 3 reversal. Now, I'd be watching for it. Now, the action in the group, go look at stocks like LVS or WYNN. Those are much stronger than this. They're showing a lot more momentum. I would probably be a little bit more interested in those. I don't have a problem with this, but I'd probably look for pullbacks in those other two ahead of this one. So this is another one where we have a marginal version of a 1, 2, 3 reversal. But it's not like it's questionable whether you call that a test or not. I think it was good enough. The problem is you're still not through the 18-month line. Now look at what happened though. See the positive here? Look at the monthly chart worked its way back to the 0 line, and now we turn up. When a stock's MACD on the monthly gets back to the 0 line after being overbought, you want to go look for divergence on the weekly time frame. Hope that makes sense. Think about this. We've worked off the overbought condition. We're finding support on the monthly MACD. Go look for divergence on this time frame. That's where I want to be playing that. Okay, NOC, this really came in hard. Now, the New York Stock Exchange caused some bad quotes when it was closed or problems or whatever. So you have to be very careful on the stocks that are showing these spikes. This is making the ADX look a lot worse, a lot more negative than it is on both the weekly and the daily because of this big spike. So you got to be really careful. Take that with a grain of salt right now. Don't look at the ADX as much as MACD on the stocks that have the spike in the near term. We do have pretty good support from the 18-month coming. ROK is making a move to the upside and clearly has made a 1, 2, 3 reversal. I mean, up and down, and then we made another up move. But what's really missing on the daily chart is momentum. This isn't bad, but this is not showing any real strength. I'm sort of expecting this to pull back or consolidate. We still have a declining 18-month line. I think this needs more time before it's going to be ready. Gold is really impressive. Look at the move off the low in gold. I mean, this is dynamic in the way that it's playing out. We got a strong move through the 18 and the 40-month line. Now I'd like to see, this pullback or pause. And I think that'll tell us a lot. If we pause here and we don't give back we don't show any real hard selling, then I would be inclined to be wanting to be a buyer in gold stocks or the GLD. Definitely something I'm watching pretty closely. UAL, look at the dynamics of this. So we have this low ADX condition on the weekly chart, and we're breaking this downtrend line for the first time in a long time. I mean, this is pretty intriguing. Look at the dynamics of the breakout. You see the size of this bar? Look at what's going on here. See the move to the upside? Look at the strength here. I actually think that's pretty impressive. Definitely a stock to watch and see if this can hold the 45 on a pullback. UNG just is not showing. I mean, this is a lot of weakness. I don't want to guess this. It's coming into support, but I'm not looking to guess this. There's too much strength to the downside. We're looking for some kind of a reversal here, and I would probably, based on this, I'd probably want to see a higher low develop to be convinced that we're making a bottom. Don't be in a big rush with this. This is a little too violent. I mean, unless you're looking to trade it, and then you use the tactics that I talked about in either Tesla last week, or what I did this week in NVDA. Thanks for watching the show. My contact information is listed. If you have any stock requests, send them to stocktalk@stockcharts.com. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.